Hey guys, and welcome to this new video. So today I am going to be sharing the books that I read in February with all of you. So in the month of January, and if you haven't watched what I read in January, I'll leave that link down below. But in the month of January, I read 7 books, and February, not so great, but it is a shorter month. So in February, I read 5 books, and if I look this way, my laptop is here with all the information. So I read 5 books in total, 3 audiobooks, and then 1 both audio and physical. So I only read 1 physical book completely this month. It was not a good reading month for me. I was in a bit of a reading slump. I also didn't have a lot of time to read this month, so audiobooks really kind of like saved me there. So let's just kind of go through all of this. And I literally only have 1 book here with me because everything I read, like I said, was either an audiobook or from the library. So you're gonna see a lot of photos in this video. So the first book that I read was Vanderbilt, The Rise and Fall of an American Dynasty, and this is a book by Anderson Cooper about his family because he is a Vanderbilt, and this one was really interesting. My mom actually wanted to read it at first, and then when she was listening to it, she kind of convinced me to listen to it too. I really love history. I love just historical things. This was a nonfiction, and what I really liked about the audiobook is that it was read by Anderson Cooper, which was also, I just love audiobooks that are read by the author specifically for nonfiction books. But this book just followed the history of the Vanderbilts from way in the beginning before they even came to the US, and then all kind of throughout until Anderson Cooper, and just kind of like literally, like the title says, the rise and fall of this family. Because now when you say you're a Vanderbilt, like it doesn't really matter. There really is no connection. Like it is what it is. But obviously back then they were one of the, if not the most powerful family in the US, and specifically in this area of New York City. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And there are a few other books that Anderson Cooper has written about his family. I believe he has one with his mom, Gloria Vanderbilt, but I really liked this one. And if you like history, I definitely recommend this. So the next book that I listened to, which I also did have the physical book, but I ended up not being able to read it and just listen to it, but it was Finlay Donovan is Killing It by El Cosimano, and I loved this book so much. It was so funny. It was just such a good time reading it. But this book is about this woman who is a single mother. She's kind of tight on cash, and she's an author who's struggling to finish her most recent book. And so she is meeting with her editor at a Panera and telling her the plot of her murder book, and this woman overhears her and is like, "Will you help me kill my husband?" So she offers her like $50,000, and she's really desperate for the money, and so she actually considers it. So this book is just kind of all about that, and it is so funny. These characters are hilarious, and there's such a big cliffhanger at the end. There's 3 books in this series, so I read the first one and I definitely need to read the second one. I don't believe the third one is out yet. This book is just so good. If you're wanting to get into thrillers but you don't want to be like too scared, or you're nervous that it's going to be really scary, I think picking up a book like this is perfect because it has that thriller pace where you want to know what's coming next, and it does involve murder and kill for hire, but it's funny. It's a comedy book, so I'm not sure exactly what it's categorized as. It's great as like a thriller start book, if that makes sense, but 10 out of 10 would recommend. So the third book that I read this month was Kingdom of the Curse by Carrie Maniscalco, and this is the second book in the series, or the trilogy. So the first book is Kingdom of the Wicked, and it follows this girl who is looking for her twin sister's murderer, and she ends up making a deal with one of the 7 brothers from hell, and so she's a witch, and so she's always told to stay away from them and all of that, and she ends up kind of becoming friends with him in a way, or using him to find her sister's murderer. So I love this book. It takes place in Sicily, which I'm Sicilian, so points for that. This second book in the series is definitely a lot better than the first one. The first one's kind of like that starter book that just kind of gets you into the world, a lot of world building and explaining things, and this book was definitely kind of propelled you into the story. It was also a little spicier, which is always appreciated. But yeah, I really love this book. I'm very excited for the third one, Kingdom of the Feared, I believe, but I don't really want to go into too much about this because it is a second book. But yes, if you are looking for a good fantasy book, I would highly recommend picking up this trilogy. So the next book I read is another thriller, and it's Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This book was more of like a psychological thriller. It wasn't necessarily scary, but this book follows this couple and they are kind of having issues in their marriage, and so the wife wins this stay at this remote cabin in Scotland, and it was a church turned house. And so they are going on this trip to, and I don't necessarily want to say save their marriage, but just kind of rebuild. Let me tell you, this book was trippy. There are multiple point of views. So you have the husband, the wife, and then you have these chapters that it's the wife writing the husband these notes for every anniversary, and then you have this woman who lives near the cabin and she kind of like takes care of it in a way. So you have these multiple point of views, but it's not confusing at all. I listened to this on audiobook and I really recommend the audiobook. There were different people reading, so for the husband's chapters it was a man reading it, and for the wife it was a woman, so it wasn't confusing at all, and I really liked it. I did not see all of the twists and turns coming at the end. There's like 3 plot twists, but it makes you think, and then it makes you rethink everything you just read, and I love books like that. So if you are looking for more of like a psychological kind of thriller book, I really recommend Rock, Paper, Scissors. And also this book and even Kingdom of the Cursed are perfect to read in the winter time because of all like the wintry vibes. So that's mostly why I picked these two up in the month of February. And the last book that I read in February was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is my second Colleen Hoover book that I read, and this is so far my favorite Colleen Hoover book that I read. So this follows a girl named Lily, and she meets a boy named Ryle, and they fall in love and have this whirlwind romance, but she also keeps thinking and coming back to her first love when she was younger. She grew up in an abusive household, and so that kind of goes along with her and kind of makes her the way she is in a way. But I really don't want to give too much about this book because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it, but I'm sure anyone watching this video has heard of this book. This, I think, is her most popular book. I've read Ugly Love. I talk about it in my What I Read in January video, but I really enjoy Colleen Hoover's writing. I'm currently, while this video is being recorded, I'm currently reading another Colleen Hoover book, and even though I'm not too far into it, this one so far out of the 3 is my favorite. And there's a prequel coming out called It Begins With Us, and I'm so excited for it. I just really love this book. Even though I can't relate to anything that is happening with these characters in this book, I really feel for them, and like my heart hurts for them and the things that they're going through. This book is so good. Like you can see, obviously I have the physical book, but I didn't really read it. I skimmed a little bit here and there while I was listening, but most of the book was on audio. Most of the book I listened to on audiobook, while followed along a little bit in the physical book. But I absolutely love this book. I really would love to read it again, and like kind of with all the knowledge that I know now that I finished it, I'd love to like read it again. But this book is so good. If you're looking for a Colleen Hoover book, I really suggest picking this one up. And if you have other Colleen Hoover books that you're wanting to pick up this one first, because I'm really sad I didn't read this earlier than I did. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So those are all the books I read in February. Like I said, it wasn't the best reading month for me. Audiobooks really kind of saved me this month, but out of everything I did read, I enjoyed most of the books, and I had no DNFs, so that is always a plus. So I am really hoping to get my reading back up in March, and as of right now I'm reading 2 books and still struggling. So let's hope this reading slump lightens up soon, because I need to get my reading up if I want to read 52 books this year. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite book that you read in the month of February was. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in my next video.